What's up guys, it's Daz here, but you don't really care, because I've been speculating about the features of Pikmin 3 for over a year now. I know, it's gone fast. So with the game being released over a month ago, we now know pretty much all there is to know about the game. So, to conclude my pre-game speculation, let's go over every theory and idea and see how we did on accuracy. As I go through the points made, I will link the video to what it was originally from, in case you want to watch it now. So, you ready? Let's begin. Going way back to the first trailer ever shown of Pikmin 3 in E3 2012, I came to the conclusion that caves would return because the squid enemy, known as the sputtlefish, would exert poison onto the Pikmin as they attacked it underwater. This meant that white Pikmin would be introduced as they have an immunity to poison, and they would be obtained in caves like they were in Pikmin 2. This is only partially correct. It is true that whites appear in Pikmin 3, and that caves return. However, whites are only available during certain missions of challenge mode, and the caves are much more realistic and do not host candy pop buds that create unique underground Pikmin. Instead, the poison is unavoidable, though easy to counterattack. Still, I feel quite proud of myself for coming up with something so vast from a tiny detail. Going on with the cave theory, I also stated that rock Pikmin would be found underground, or at least in a cave, and the latter of this is actually true. You find the rock Pikmin in the Garden of Hope inside a mini cave thing, which holds a few crystal nodules, the rock onion, and a medusal slurker which has captured the rock Pikmin. So I was right here all along. Also, I spotted the flying Pikmin at the end of the trailer, and although this isn't strictly an idea, there was a debate about its existence at the time, and so at least the ones in favour of it being a Pikmin were right in the end. Now for some mistakes. I hinted at the possibility of making Pikmin 3 online, and unfortunately, Nintendo has stated that this would be too difficult as they wouldn't be able to handle more than 100 Pikmin, which is a shame really. Though I could still imagine the online working if they set it up like Bingo Battle, only having 100 Pikmin on the field at once, but split between the two players. That way you don't have 100 Pikmin, but it's still manageable. Ah well, I guess it would still be difficult to conduct, so I understand. I also was quite confused when I saw Pikmin sprouts on an elevated ledge with no onion nearby. Because of this, I speculated that there might be a flying onion above this spot. The reality was that the footage was of collect the fruits mode, and so the sprouts were just spontaneously there. And although onions can fly, as shown by the end of every day, they do not stay in mid-air during the day. Now on to the next video. In this one I specified all of the enemies discovered so far, and in this I added more detail to the medusal slurker, stating that it may be possible that they create the rock Pikmin, as their name medusal does seem to refer to Medusa and her ability to turn men into stone. Rock. However, Medusa is also a genus of jellyfish, I believe, and so maybe it was just some sort of pun, but not the core existence of rock Pikmin. Instead, they have their own onion. Moving on to one of my bigger videos, I began creating identities for the 4 new characters revealed to us. One conclusion I came to was that the spam characters who emailed you in Pikmin 2 may be the new characters. Unfortunately, this is not true and we haven't heard of them since. Would have been interesting though. As for specific characters themselves, I predicted that Character A was a relative of Olimar, Character C was part of the military, and Character D was a relative of Louis. These generic predictions were also wrong, as A and C were from a whole other planet, Copai, so could not be a relative to the Hockatations, and Character C was merely a captain. In fact, D never even made the final cut of the game, so maybe his identity will forever remain a mystery. In this same video, I guessed that the whole plot of Olimar's disappearance was that he was kidnapped. If you don't want to be spoiled yet, feel free to click here and skip through this section. Turns out, this is quite accurate. When the Copiots first reach PNF 404, Olimar is still roaming around as he leaves data files specifying things that occurred after their landing. However, towards the end of the game, Olimar is kidnapped by the final boss of the game, the Plasm Wraith. He is unable to leave the formidable oak, and so needs help with the Copiots and the Pikmin to escape. Shockingly accurate for a year ago, right? I also exposed how Louis was evil, and this is also prevalent in Pikmin 3. His attitude is much more rude and leads to the point where he steals all of the food from the Copiots, as well as Charlie's rubber ducky, Elizabeth. The next video specified on colours and elements. One suggestion was that each character had an extra element or ability. For example, Character D could have a jetpack that allowed him to fly. This unfortunately never happened, though the idea would be great for the series if each character had a stronger characteristic. I also mentioned a new colour of Pikmin, the Carolina Blue Pikmin, based off of Alf's suit. I suggested it would be immune to the ink attack of the sputtlefish, but once again it never appeared. One final thing that I picked from this video was that there was a hidden white character which would correlate with the white Pikmin, but since both the character and the white Pikmin never arrived in Pikmin 3's story, this idea was wrong. My backstory video suggested that the planet would be the result of a nuclear war which wiped out everything and caused strange mutations of creatures. This was never confirmed in Pikmin 3, but not denied either, so it's still up for debate. During the analysis of the December Nintendo Direct footage, we saw bubbles being used against the Pikmin. I suggested that maybe the flying Pikmin could pop the bubbles, and this is quite true, but every other type of Pikmin can also pop the bubbles if directed in the right direction. I also thought that character B would be Olimer's daughter, as her story could match up to B's appearance. The voice suited a relatively young individual, while her glasses made her seem more like someone who studied a lot, like Olimer's daughter did throughout Pikmin 2 whilst Olimer was away. One big video I made was the idea that Pikmin 3 was the sequel to the bad ending of Pikmin 1. This meant that Olimer's family would be the ones going to the planet to try and save him. In this case, character C would be the supervisor, trainer, and protector. He may have also been the president. However, Pikmin 3 follows Pikmin 2 directly, so this whole idea was false. Cool though. Another suggestion was that there would be a total of 10 Pikmin, as it would split nicely but also add more variety. Yet, only 2 new ones were added in the game, with a total of 7 Pikmin, and even then, 2 of them didn't even appear in story mode. Another major disappointment was the lack of the Piklopedia. It was a reasonable assumption to think that it would return, especially with Brittany being a botanist, yet it did not. Apparently there was a booklet of some kind released in Japan, but it still is disappointing that it didn't appear in-game. Going back to the new types of Pikmin, the suggestions were green, orange and cyan Pikmin, each hosting possible elements such as lava, light, ice, ink, sand, and, that sort of thing. Their features could also have included tails, shells and webbed feet. Still, there may still be a chance in the future. There was also an idea of explosive-proof Pikmin, which never appeared, or sunset Pikmin, which could dig. Again, non-existent. Another plot idea was that the 4 new characters were the rescue squad sent to save Olimar after he let out an SOS in Pikmin 1. This was confirmed to be wrong. There was also an idea that each character would have a different occupation, with A being a pilot, B being a scientist, C being a military general, and D being a mechanic. This is also quite true. However, C is the captain, A is the mechanic, and B is the botanist, so not too far off. Going on to screenshot speculations, I pointed out that bud Pikmin were relatively rare in Pikmin 2, and thought maybe that wouldn't be the case in Pikmin 3, but from my experience, they still are quite rare, though they may be slightly more common. It simply depends on your playstyle. After looking at the icy slide, I also considered ice to be an element, which could bring ice Pikmin into the mix, but once again, it turned out not to be true. Another thing was that this device could be used as a camera. It turns out that this was right! In Pikmin 3, you were given the option to take first-person images of your environment, which you could send to Miiverse for others to see. It's still a great feature in my opinion. In this next video, I also speculated each character's abilities. I concluded that A would be lighter, B would be the camera wielder, and C would be the strongest. Character traits never became a thing. 'Tis a shame. Looking at the Pikmin 3 logo in my next video, I concluded orange Pikmin. But nope. It was representing the colour of the Pikmin's flowers when they were vamped up with ultra spicy spray. Yeah, don't know why it does that. I also went into great detail about weathers and the effect they could bring, yet only one new one arrived, which was rain, and even then, it had no physical effect on the Pikmin's abilities or the enemies. It merely made everything look pretty, and it was one of the best features in the game. Going back to D, who many had believed had been scrapped, I persisted that he was still in the game, just hidden. I thought maybe he could be another stranded explorer who you might meet halfway through the game, but it turns out the majority was right. Character D never appeared. Maybe as a memorial they decided to name the ship after him. Drake. Going on to the timeline, it was thought that Pikmin 3 could be the distant future of Pikmin 2, and because of this, creatures such as the ravenous Whiskerpillar could have matured by now. And this is true. Pikmin 3 does have a significant gap after Pikmin 2, at least on the Pikmin planet, not so much on Koppai and Hocotate. However, the ravenous Whiskerpillars were not confirmed to be any of the new creatures, but it could still be a possibility to be the Nectarous Dandlefly. Going on to the E3 2013 trailer, I hypothesized that the onion had crashed and been split into separate colours. The truth was that they all grew separated anyway, and merely combined for convenience. I also thought that the fruits would rot, as I mistaken one fruit for being a rotten pear. This turned out not to be the case, thankfully. Another big idea I kept going was elemental Wollywogs, especially electric Wollywogs. However, this was not the case. The closest alternative was the bearded Amprats, which were electrical and had a moderately similar structure to the Wollywogs. Another big idea of mine was that you could switch between playing the Hogatations and the Pirates through your journey. This also was not the case, as Olimar and Louis had their own unplayable backstory. It also wouldn't work if Olimar was kidnapped. Looking at the shell on the web, I thought it was a pyroclasmic sludge, which would burn the entire web. However, it was in fact a new enemy, the Arachnode. Blech. Finally, I came to the conclusion that winged Pikmin carried bomb rocks, and while this is true, they are not the only ones to do so. Every type of Pikmin can carry bomb rocks. Later I mentioned the Pangea theory, which explained that each area was connected and so could be intertwined into one massive area. This is only slightly true. The areas are connected by land, however you cannot access them from each other. You can only land in one area and explore that one area, though the planet does seem to be connected into a Pangea formation. And now on to my final speculation ideas. Hoo boy was I mistaken. Character D never appeared in the game. One more hidden Pikmin could be the Cyan Pikmin. This never happened. This Pikmin never appeared. Bulbmin would only appear in challenge mode. This was false. The President would not be playable. This is correct, though he does have a cameo appearance in the form of a snowman and in the Golden Balls of Chance in the Bingo Battle mode. There will be a total of 6 areas. In the end, there were only 5. The Piklopedia will return. It did not. The game will be more difficult with less immunities. This is quite right. People tend to lose far more Pikmin in this game than the previous two, even those with experience. Adjustable difficulty. This was never implemented. There would be a nighttime mission. Still, this had not been added. Weathers would disable certain Pikmin. In fact, no weathers had any effect on the Pikmin. The memos were Olimar's notes. This turned out to be true. Olimar helps the new crew. This is only partially true. Drake uses a hologram to make D. Nope. Drake will like Alf and dislike Charlie. Turns out, Drake has very limited expressions of emotion. Drake will be funny. He turns out to be quite serious and uninteresting in a personality aspect. Charlie would be a comic relief character. This is quite true, though it depends on the individual if he's funny or not really. Brittany will get mad at Charlie a lot. This doesn't really happen much, though she does seem to shoot him down a lot. Louis is not playable, but he will become a stowaway. This is true too. Louis is not playable in the story mode, though he does the opposite of stowaway and abandons the ship at one point. The Ultra Spicy Spray will have a funny cutscene. There was no cutscene for it at all. The fruits will have funny names. They were unique and identical to Pikmin 2's. Not sure if funny would be the right word. Once again, it depends on the individual. Face wrinkler. There will be bonus side quests. This was wrong. Totaka's song would take 2 to 4 weeks to be found. So far, it still hasn't been found, I think. If it even is in the game. Hey, you could always go searching for it if you wanted to. The characters are separated multiple times. This only happens twice, at the very beginning and when you first go to the distant tundra. There will be a major plot twist. Oh yes, one midway involving Louis and one at the end involving Olimar. Finally, the ending will be open to suggest a sequel. This too was confirmed to be true. Something falls onto the planet. What is it? Only time will tell. And so, that is it. The majority of speculative ideas all wrapped up and concluded in a single video. And although many of them were wrong, that's not the real point. The point was that for the good part of a year, we all came together as a community and thought of some great ideas. Who knows, maybe Nintendo will hear one of us and add them into DLC or Pikmin 4. For now, I guess we can conclude Pikmin speculations. So, what did you think? Also, you may have noticed that I haven't been uploading for a while, and here's why. One reason is that school has just started and it's being ruthless, but I'm getting there. I've also been prioritising Let's Plays more. But with this being uploaded, I should hopefully become a little more regular. However, I might not be able to upload every week anymore. It's more likely to be every 2 or 3 weeks, as there's not many videos I can make right now, considering I've been speculating Pikmin and Smash Bros. Since Pikmin is virtually over, and with Smash Bros, all I can ever say is, yeah, Sonic, Peach, Toon Link, well bye. So, I will be opening my channel to new forms of videos. From this point on top of speculation ideas, I will also be accepting suggestions for top 10, top 5s, and reviews. Yup, I'm finally going to follow my name and start making reviews, starting with Pikmin 3, and I will be showing my face for the first time to YouTube. It should be up in the next week, or 2. So I hope you enjoy. I hope to see many suggestions to keep me going, and I will leave it off here. So, my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.